you've ever watched the original Frankenstein of the Universal monsters.
Funny enough, that's been a huge blind spot for me. All of those
Sure.
Universal monsters.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know of them, and I've seen a bunch of clips from those movies, but I've never actually sat down and I don't know that I've sat down and watched any of them, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think that's fair because I think, I guess I should say this is a film table. My name is Eli.
I'm Denise.
And we're married and we talk about movies. And
food.
And food, that's right. We just watched Frankenstein, the 2025 Guillermo del Toro
Netflix movie.
Yeah, Netflix movie.
Technically.
I guess to go back before we dive into everything else. Yeah, I feel like the original Universal monsters, because they were in black and white, I feel like a lot of times, especially when I was younger, because I guess being a young person and being like, oh, anything that's black and white or old timey it's not good. And honestly, it wasn't until I was probably in my 20s or 30s where I want to say I gave it a little bit more of the respect that it probably deserved. But I mean, I did watch it when I was younger. It's just I probably initially thought it was boring.
Do you ever find it scary, though?
No.
Okay.
No, because I think I had jumped into the deep end of the pool at that point already, so that wasn't gonna. I mean, that's
You'd
like
already seen some of the worst of the worst.
Yeah, that's like kiddie stuff at that point of just being like, Pff. But I mean, to be fair though, like, I think I don't know if I would necessarily say it was scary, but it was like it was intriguing. Like whenever the monster was on screen, but never like
nightmares.
Well, and I think part of it too, right, is like these movies all have a much larger story that they're trying to tell. And I think that, for better or worse, at least in the original series, some did better jobs than others. And I don't know if it necessarily comes through the same way that the Frankenstein we just watched, sort of comes through, because I feel like obviously there's more depiction of man's folly to try to conquer nature.
Sure.
So, but I think a couple things, because the Boris Karloff, 1931. So I mean, you're talking almost 100 years in.
Oh my god!
In only what? In 6 or in 5 years, because we're already at the end of the year. So yeah, I mean, much like Phantom of the Opera, or not Phantom of the Opera, Nosferatu.
That's kind of funny because I have seen Nosferatu several times. Speaking of black and white, so it wasn't because it was black and white that I thought, oh, I don't want to watch it necessarily. But I think maybe Nosferatu was more of my flavor at that point, coming up in being a fan of movies, because that was actually genuinely really creepy.
Well, and I think that was it was partly creepy too because of the way that film was made, in the sense of being more hand cranked and causing the film to look weird,
super janky.
Yeah, and there was that. What do you call it? The uncanny valley of. That's a real person, but also those aren't real speeds and movements, and
why does that look so weird?
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, in some ways, that's what really made that probably better.
I can see that, but I mean, that actor is also really freaking creepy.
Yeah, that's a big part of it too. But yeah, so we just got home from watching the 2025 version of Frankenstein
in 35 millimeter at the Texas Theater.
Yeah, I was really wanting to hold out and wanting to watch it there. So it is playing. It has a theatrical run because it's at least my understanding. We're not big Hollywood insiders or whatever, but it is my understanding that the reason why they're doing that is because they want to make sure that it is properly. Well, A, they want people to experience it in theaters, but B, politically, it's more of a political move for the Oscars so that
Yeah.
they
They get
they can
qualified.
be they can be qualified for Best Picture or honestly
I don't
any
really know.
award.
I guess that must be a new rule, right? Because wasn't there a Scorsese film that only came out on Netflix and he got nominated
Oh,
like
that's
a
a
couple
good
years
point.
ago?
Yeah,
So I
The
wonder if this
Irishman.
is no, the other one before that. The one that was set in Mexico City or something like that.
Mexico City.
I don't know, something like that. It was black and white, and it only I want to say only came out on Netflix, but that got part of. I think it got nominated for best film. Actually, obviously it didn't win.
That's
Um,
interesting.
but yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe he did get nominated for Irishman. For some, I don't know about best film, but definitely for certain aspects of that movie.
Yeah. Um
Roma, was it Roma?
Maybe. So it does say here that streaming movies can be nominated for the Oscar. I don't know. I guess it doesn't necessarily show what the qualifier. Oh well, I guess it does. Eligibility: the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Science rules allow films to be released on streaming services to be eligible for the Oscars. So yeah, theatrical releases. While films can go straight to streaming, most Oscar contending films from streaming services have also had limited theatrical release. Okay, so I guess it doesn't necessarily have to. I guess yeah, it says here like the past controversies where there was a debate in the past that there had to be eligibility of streaming films, but the Academy has continued to adapt to rules to reflect changes in the film industry. So maybe not so much, but
Oh, sorry, it wasn't Scorsese. It was Alfonso Cuarón.
okay, that's why I was like, wait,
Yeah.
what are you talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah, yeah. I don't know why I thought it was Scorsese.
Well, I mean, because
Uh,
he did The Irishman, which was direct
Yeah,
to
yeah, you're
streaming,
right,
and
you're
then
right.
also, what was the other one? The one about the natives in Oklahoma, but that did have a theatrical
That did
run,
have a theatrical.
but that was like Apple,
Yeah.
so it was another streaming service. But anyway, but yeah, so we were holding out to go watch it at the Texas Theater, and funny enough, the first weekend we tried to go, it was sold out.
Yeah.
Which is cool, and I'm glad it was selling out, and I'm glad that we went. It's a Wednesday night, and the theater. I mean, it wasn't packed. I mean, it's 160 seats. But
It was close though. It was maybe like, I don't know, 70-80% capacity, I would say.
no, it was probably more like 40 or
Oh, you think?
like yeah.
I don't know. It felt like more.
I think it's just the way the layout of that upstairs location is. But yeah, there's a lot of seats off to the sides and behind us. But I mean, in any case, still like almost at 40 or 50% capacity is pretty good. Having like 60 people watching a movie on a Wednesday night,
Yeah.
especially a
like,
2.5 hour long movie.
And like on what, its second or third week out?
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty impressive, actually.
I don't let me forget. I want to talk about the audience towards the back end because I want to talk about the movie first, and then I have a lot of
Okay.
thoughts about a variety of things. But have you read the Frankenstein book? Are you familiar with the story?
I have read it. I read it when I was a teenager in my goth phase. I
Right.
read a lot of those gothic novels and gothic romances.
Mhm.
I was maybe, when I read Frankenstein, I was maybe 15 or 16.
Mhm.
I loved it. Mary Shelley is still one of my literary heroes. And yeah, so I've always been kind of intrigued about the monster and the story and all that stuff, even though I never watched the Universal adaptations.
Is it
but
is it Frankenstein the De Niro one that you told me?
yes,
Okay,
so
I have not watched that.
which
still.
is crazy, kind of, to me, because I do really like that movie. It was directed by Kenneth Branagh, which, him being who he is, it was actually like super. I don't know. I would say maybe verging on campy almost.
Okay.
It was very over the top, a lot of kind of crazy camera stylings and things like that, and just very like over the top theatrical and
Well, that was like a '90s movie, right?
something like that.
I'm trying to
'Cause
remember.
it was him and what is her name? Bellatrix Lestrange. Helena Bonham Carter
Okay,
was
yeah.
in it, and randomly, yeah, Robert De Niro was
Right.
in it as the monster. I actually really liked that movie, and then when I first watched it, it's been a while since I've seen it. I can't remember what age I was when I watched it, but it actually was really. It has some really creepy moments actually, and arguably for as much fault at that it has, it's actually like a fairly faithful adaptation of the book. I feel
Sure.
like. So that would be interesting to have you watch that in contrast to Guillermo del Toro's version.
Well, yeah, and I was going to say I'm going
Mhm.
to kind of let you drive a little bit of the
I
this
thought you would never
story
ask.
how the story relates, how the book story translates cuz I've
Yeah.
not read the book. But I mean, I've seen, like I said, I've seen the original Frankenstein. I do find it interesting just quickly looking at the so it was 1994.
Mhm.
So I do remember that because I
Mhm.
was working at the theater during that time period. And I forgot, or it looks like it was produced by Francis Ford Coppola.
That sounds right. That
Well,
sounds
because
that sounds
the next,
heavily accurate,
like a couple years prior, he did Dracula.
which totally tracks.
Yeah. And the screenplay is by Frank Darabont.
Holy shit! I
Yeah.
had no idea, to be honest.
That probably explains a
That
lot of
super
why,
tracks, to be honest.
yeah, why you're saying like so much of that. But
Yeah.
again, let's go back to what we just watched. It's
Yeah.
just kind of interesting the evolution because
Absolutely.
we haven't had a Frankenstein movie in
In a
about
minute.
30 years.
Fair minute. You know, there's another one coming out about the Bride of Frankenstein, but it's more of a modern,
Oh yeah.
whatever.
That one I'm very interested in that.
It looks very stylized,
It looks like
kind of artsy.
it looks like Romeo and Juliet
Mm.
from 1992 or whenever that came out.
Yeah.
The
Like heavily stylized.
yes, which I'm all down for. I
Yeah.
like the adaptations that
Love it.
someone wants to take a spin on. But yeah, so it's been roughly it's actually been 31 years since there has been a Frankenstein movie.
Mm.
I did find it kind of interesting that this was not a Universal movie, that this was a
Oh, that's funny.
Netflix movie.
Well, I mean, the IP is probably like of the actual original work has what I'm imagining the what is it called, the copyright or whatever
Yeah.
has lapsed. However that works.
Well, yeah, probably because if the original movie came out in 1931, not to say that they had
I mean,
copyright on it, the book
right,
itself
the book
is
itself.
older.
Yeah,
So the story itself, yeah, has probably
like
lapsed.
nobody owns it at this point. I'm
Yeah, if it came out in the 20s,
Mm-hmm.
then yeah, it's probably reached over 100 years, which at that point makes it like public domain.
Mm-hmm.
So basically the copyright expires. So but yeah, so I found it very interesting that the casting in the movie was very solid, I thought.
Okay.
I agree with you. It was a little interesting because I didn't realize that Christoph Waltz was in it.
Yeah.
I kind of forgot that Mia Goth was in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I remember obviously Oscar Isaacs was
Yeah.
the main, is Victor
I mean,
Frankenstein.
he's like in all the posters.
Yeah,
so.
I don't know who the actual the creature
Jacob Elordi.
is. He in anything else that we?
Oh my God, sweetie, he's like in everything.
I mean, I guess I'm.
Well, he's more of. I think he's kind of segueing himself into like more heavily dramatic and more serious kind of roles. But he was in a lot of. I think his big breakout role was like a Netflix rom-com movie, for like YA basically.
Okay.
And then he had a fairly big break with what is it, that HBO show Euphoria?
Mm.
He has a big role in that. So yeah, he's been steadily gaining traction in
Okay.
a lot of stuff, and he has like another movie coming out this year. So yeah, he's been busy.
Yeah,
and
I have
he's
no
been
idea
around.
who he is.
Yeah,
like,
he's
at all.
probably. I mean, a lot of the younger demographic
Yeah.
knows his name for sure. He's
Sure.
like basically a household name at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, not for olds like us, probably
Yeah.
as much.
Well, and so I guess to before we get into spoiler territory, does the movie play out the way the book plays out, or is this?
I think in the broad strokes, yes. There's obviously some liberties that Del Toro took, which I wasn't really all that mad about. And maybe because I haven't, it's been a minute since I've read the book. I don't want to be one of those people that are always like, oh, the book's better, because those people are annoying. And it's good to have adaptations of different things because, art begets art and et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So I'm not mad about variations on the story necessarily. But yeah, I think in the broad strokes, he captured a lot of what was put in the book. I thought he put a really beautiful spin on it. But there are some aspects of it that maybe I thought missed the mark as well.
Sure. Well, so the story or the movie itself starts with it's funny because for a minute there was like, wait, are we watching Dracula or are we watching Frankenstein?
There's a lot of overlap.
Yeah, and so the movie starts with like a ship that has been what do you call it when
it's like stuck in the ice because it's basically in that era of like, what is it called, the northern exploration,
right,
where they're trying to find a way basically to I want to say like circumnavigate the globe, faster way, easier way, whatever, back in the, I don't know, turn of the century at some point.
Yeah, it would have been 1900s,
yeah,
or early 1900s. It's during World War One. I think it's supposed to be that period.
I think it's much earlier than that.
Okay.
Much earlier.
Well,
maybe it's maybe turn of the century.
Well, that's what I'm saying. 1900s. Would have
Early
been,
or like late 1800s.
Because the weapons that they are using would have been weapons that would have been like World War One.
That's funny. That's your like touch points when we watch movies. For me, it's usually like the costuming.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's part of it.
It's just kind of funny.
The costume is there, but like weapons, unfortunately, like evolve during the time periods,
true.
And so
because
weapons,
right,
weapons that were like top loaded, where you have to kind of like you have to do the little like what do you call it, like where you're jamming down the
gunpowder and the
and so weapons that actually have ammunition that shoot that have like a lock mechanism. That's a World War II or it's a World War One sort of aspect, because
that might be a bit of an anachronism in that case, because if you're referring to like the blunderbuss that they had,
no, they had other weapons, like
I guess that's true.
There's a shotgun and there's other stuff that basically has like a broken barrel where you could put ammunition, but
a lot of that stuff existed before First World War, didn't it? Like some of that at least.
No? Because like Civil War in that era, that was still top loading, top loading weapons or whatever. In World War One, though, in Europe, a lot of weapons like that were created, and that's why also early turn of the century or the end of the 1800s. When you start going into like the West and the frontier, then weapons started to evolve.
Got it.
But not to go on a big weapon diatribe, but yes, that is generally how I tend to like look at the time.
Like earmark time.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because I mean they were on stagecoaches, and if you think about it, stagecoaches with like riding shotgun, the guy who has the shotgun, sort of thing. But so yeah, the movie starts where I guess we're in the Arctic, and
there's like there's a brief mention of like they're trying to get to the North Pole for some reason. Yeah, there's a ship that is like I guess like kind of the Arctic Passage is what they're looking for. Yeah, they don't necessarily say outright, but the idea is like they're on a mission from the Crown, and they're I think it's like a Scandinavian ship.
I thought they were Russian.
It didn't sound Russian.
Because they mentioned St. Petersburg at one point.
Oh, maybe. It didn't sound Russian, though.
It didn't. Yeah, it didn't sound Russian.
It sounded maybe Swedish or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, they're stuck on the ice, and they're trying to forge their way across because they want to get through to get to the North Pole, even though the crew is like, we want to go back home because this sucks. But the captain's like, no, we got a mission, and the Crown is paying, so we're going to go on our mission. So get to chop in some ice. Right. So they're stuck there on the ice when they realize they see an explosion, first of all, off in the distance. They're saying about 2 miles out. It's a big explosion. They're like, what is that? Because we're on the ice. So what's going on over there? Right. So they go to investigate, and they see who turns out to be Victor Frankenstein, and he's wounded. They're like, what the hell is going on? Like, the sled dogs are fine. the tent is blown up. There's some kind of big explosion. Something's on fire, and everybody's like, what the fuck is going on? So they put Victor Frankenstein on like a pallet. They drag him back on ship, make sure he's okay. Hey, what's going on? Are you alive? And he's freaking out the whole time. He's like, there's like something chasing me, and it's gonna kill all of you if you don't like release me and let it kill me or something, basically, or I kill it.
Right.
And the captain is just like, obviously you're crazy.
Sure thing, guy.
Like, what the hell is going on? So they, and then they start hearing like kind of monster noises. And,
well, it's funny because initially it sounds like a polar bear is
right.
what they try to make
well,
it.
yeah, they make it seem like, it could just be a bear, because
Right.
that's a thing.
That would be logical
Totally.
where they are.
Why would it not be a bear?
Right.
And then the creature, I guess, kind of comes at them and tries to get through to them to get to Victor Frankenstein.
Right.
So that's kind of the typical, I feel like that's how the book starts. That's how a lot of the adaptations start as well.
So that is pretty somewhat accurate to the book.
Yeah. It's a pretty common framing device in a lot of books of that era, because they want a reason to tell the story, basically. And that's the reason for this story to be happening, is Victor Frankenstein is dictating it to the captain.
Right.
So yeah, that's how that starts, and then we go into the rest of the movie.
Yeah, basically we get the captain is basically the captain is the audience,
right?
And Victor Frankenstein wakes up and he's like, "Let me tell you my story of why I'm here."
Yeah,
which I thought was kind of interesting.
Let me start from when I was a child, and you just imagine as a captain, I'm like, okay, but like.
I was more curious about
how you like literally got here on the ice,
because we're on the ice and you're on the ice,
and so
I didn't really ask about much further than that.
Care about your childhood,
but yeah, I thought that was interesting. And then we get what's funny, because I guess it's broken into literally 3 parts, which the very start of the movie says the prologue,
yeah,
and then right as he's like, well, let me tell you my story about my childhood, and then it's like
let me tell you my life story.
It's the story of Victor Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And so we get that whole story, and during that whole story there's the occasional, because I mean that's effectively a flashback, and
right.
And then during that sequence the monster makes his way to the ship and sort of frames everything, because we get a sense of like something is after Victor Frankenstein, and this whole story that he's about to tell leads up to why the creature is chasing him. And so literally it plays, into the first
half,
does it say chapter 1, or does it say,
I
forget what it said.
Probably.
It either said chapter 1 or it said
part 1.
Yeah. And actually, I think you're right. I think it said part 1.
Yeah.
Because it's prologue, part 1, part 2, and part 1 is Victor Frankenstein, and then, like I said, we get framing every now and then where they come back to the actual captain and
right.
Victor Frankenstein, and then the creature is there, and they were able to fend him off for a minute, like you said, with a blunderbuss, which it was pretty awesome. I have to say
that's real, right? A blunderbuss. That's
blunderbuss are real. I don't know if it was.
If they look like that.
Yeah, I don't know if it was as cool as the one that they had here.
Yeah.
Because that's a very
that's
like
rad.
Yeah, I want to say that Asian countries are the ones that came up with that mechanism for
where like it rotates.
Yeah,
like
you rotate the barrel.
Yeah.
I don't think that was like a European thing. So, but I mean, again, it's a movie. They just wanted something to look cool.
Something badass, yeah.
Well, and it's funny because I think they had to work around the fact that reloading a blunderbuss is not a simple thing.
I imagine.
So the fact that they were able to shoot him 4 times with a super
like
cool,
in succession.
Yeah, with a super cool weapon is like more
like unheard of.
Of working around the problem of like, we shot him once, and now we're going to take like 15 minutes to reload the blunderbuss.
Right.
Unless you have 4 of them separately, it's like, well, why don't we just make a cool one? So they're able to fend him off, and then it allows the story to continue of, which I thought was an interesting mechanism because, something happens to Frankenstein. I guess I won't really spoil that, even though it's not really, I wouldn't say like a huge spoiler.
Sure.
But so something happens. They're able to fend off Frankenstein for a minute, and it's a cool, I think, like a cool mechanism, because when Frankenstein reappears, you can see the distance between him and the ship.
Yeah.
And so that's how much time we have for the story to be told.
Yeah.
And so the story continues of Victor Frankenstein, and basically the classic story of, he is effectively a man who's trying to defy nature, God and nature, by saying that he can stop death because of the traumatic event of his mother dying, giving
in
birth.
childbirth.
Giving birth
to his brother.
Yeah, to his brother. So it's a very, it's a classic, I think, like, I guess like Gothic, like, the Gothic sense of like through
like extreme,
right, through birth, or through the giving of birth, there is death, sort of thing. It's very,
it's tied one to one.
Right. It's very dramatic. Like one has to be there in order for another to exist. And so the mother dies in childbirth, and the father of Victor Frankenstein is basically, I don't know, very masculine in the way of...
Yeah, he's kind of an asshole.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's just...
Well...
I mean, again, I guess time period or whatever, like, he is not the nurturing sort of fatherly type. He's just more of a... he's the classic father type of... You just need to make the right decisions in life, and that's it. Like, that's my only purpose here. It's not to comfort you or to give you any, like... to give you any emotion, because emotion is what will destroy you, because he's effectively trying to make his kid into like a future doctor. And so that's why he's saying, like, every piece of the human body has a purpose, and there's no there's no, what was it? Like the soul doesn't exist in there's no particular muscle that holds like soul or religion or anything. It's all, he sees it as a very mechanical sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so he's instilling that into Victor Frankenstein as a small child. And then his mother dies, and then that's when he realizes, like, well, what if I, I guess like it's almost like the those infomercials now where it's, like, you always have a problem. It's like, but what if you could, what if you could defy nature and stop death?
And as an aside, I don't know, I don't remember this being a point in the book. So I think this might be... The
father thing?
Yeah, I want to say the whole childhood sequence might be a Guillermo del Toro thing.
That definitely makes sense. And that's another thing we'll circle back around on the back end, because I had mentioned to you about his father. And there's something that I want to bring up that I guess you're not aware of.
About Guillermo del Toro's father?
Yes.
Guillermo del Toro's father.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which like I said, I guess you're not aware of. But because we were just watching a little bit of that behind the scenes stuff as we were finishing up dinner.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of interesting. And so yeah, we get the classic. I guess you could say the classic story of Frankenstein, where he defies like the scientists and the universities, and he finds somebody who's willing to back his scientific endeavors, because he knows what Victor Frankenstein is trying to do. And which is a character that's played by Christoph Waltz. And
so they're painting the picture of, I mean, it's the classic story. It's in the book. It's in the book, and it's in a lot of the adaptations. The idea that Victor Frankenstein is super egotistical, and he's so single-minded in this mission, that he doesn't care about his critics. He doesn't care about science, basically, as a fact. He's just so convinced that he can do it, and basically like he alone can do it.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of a very I don't know. Egotistical, I guess, is the right word for that.
Yeah. Like he's very. It's funny because he's very like anti-establishment, anti like
Yeah, but only because like they don't agree with him.
Right.
Because he feels like the science of the time isn't working fast enough, or they're not open-minded enough, because everybody's like, oh, what you're talking about is an abomination. It goes against all the laws of God and nature and man. Like, how dare you play God, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And so he's like, whatever, you guys are losers.
Yeah.
So he goes off and tries to do his own thing. And yeah, and that's at that point. Actually, it's the Christoph Waltz character finds him and is like, okay, cool, I'll give you all this money. Maybe I'll ask you a favor later. Definitely strings attached. But anyway, here's a bunch of money. You can build whatever you want.
Right.
I found you this badass tower on the cliffside. You can do all your crazy experiments there.
Right.
And so Frankenstein doesn't really ask too many questions. He's like, sweet, I totally want that.
Right.
Totally
Sounds
want
like
that
a good deal. Yeah.
Angel investor, hell yeah. So, and this, I mean, this tower and this lab that he creates and the facade of the I mean, it's like chef's kiss, like the gothic dream of like, if you sit down and imagine what is, if I was a true real goth girl
Right.
of the time, what does my dream castle look like? And that's how it's gonna look like.
Right.
I mean, it's incredible. Like, the stonework is crazy, and it's like overlooking a cliff. It's so dramatic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's beautiful, and I super love Guillermo del Toro for just being a super goth girly at that point.
Yeah.
Because he nails it. He
Right.
nails the look, and it looks real. Like, it's so convincing. It looks incredible. It's so over the top with that big, what is it? Like, it's carved into the stone of like this woman with a mouth open, and it's like so intimidating and beautiful and gorgeous.
Yeah. It's very and totally serves no purpose.
Absolutely
other
not.
than it looks cool.
Like, it looks so badass.
Yeah. Like some guy built that, and then they're like, "I'm sorry, you're gonna put this where?"
This is
it's like
what?
it's in a castle in the edge of the edge at the very edge of a cliff.
Yeah, it's like
where
there's
completely remote, where nobody can
nothing
get
else
to.
is around.
And the guy's like, "I just spent like 2 years carving this thing
This
out of
giant
marble,
thing.
and you're telling me that no one's gonna see it." Okay,
Like,
well,
yeah,
thanks.
exactly.
I need to be paid. Just give me my money.
Me my money.
I'm really upset.
I gotta leave.
But yeah, so they play the whole.
I'm really upset.
They play the whole Frankenstein thing where he basically creates this being with electricity, and I guess we won't get into too much spoilers about the Christoph Waltz character. Other than he is an investor.
I want to say that might also be Guillermo del Toro
probably
addition.
Yeah.
I can't quite remember that being in
Yeah,
the book.
there's a lot of there's a lot
There's
of what
quite a bit of liberties in there.
there's a lot of things that I would guess, and I have done zero to no research, and again, I'm not any Hollywood type person, but I do feel like they're just based on this movie. I feel like there are a lot of personal touches that he has put in
Definitely.
due to personal experiences.
100%.
And it's no, I mean, if you don't listen or if you don't follow Guillermo's work or know of him or his basically love for monsters, I don't know what to tell you. And you need to stop listening to us right now because you are not our friend. But there's a lot there. And I feel like this movie probably, like, I'm very curious to know, like, how long he's been trying to do this, because this seems like the number one monster, even though, like, he's already now done his creature from the Black Lagoon,
which I feel like he said that was his favorite, maybe at one point.
I think so. I think is what he had kind of said, but now he's done Frankenstein. He's done, I guess you could say he's done like other variations of monsters, like whether it's Pan's Labyrinth or Hellboy. And I don't know if those equate to, the Wolfman or the Invisible Man.
I think he loves the idea of like the beautiful monster.
Yeah. Well, to him, it's always like the
like,
monsters.
the point.
The monsters are misunderstood.
Yeah, I think his whole
because
deal is like in his stories, it's almost like the monsters are the point. Whether it's like
right,
they're the bad guys or the good guys, either way, like the story kind of revolves around them.
right,
So I feel like Frankenstein may be the ultimate kind of
right,
idea of that. Where yeah, the whole joke of like, oh, Frankenstein, it's Frankenstein's monster, duh.
yeah,
But like at the end of the day, like I think for Guillermo del Toro, it's like one and the same because
right,
it's like monster in both forms, as far as like a terrible human being and then like a literal physical monster. So I think
Frankenstein. But yeah, so we get the classic play out of the story. He creates the creature, and then
it's super badass, by the way.
yeah.
How it happens.
So he creates the creature, and then he tries to destroy the creature, and then we kind of are then we get the story back to the boat, and then we get the story from the creature's perspective for part 2 of the movie.
Which, okay, I gotta say, it's funny because I heard somebody kind of like laugh out loud when the creature's like, oh, it's my turn to tell my story. And I gotta say, like, as much as I was very invested in the movie, it was kind of funny that someone was like, oh, like, we're just sit around and listen to monster talk like for this half of the movie.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like a hilarious idea when you really think about it, because the captain's just sitting there like, yeah, totally, I totally have time to listen
Yeah, he's
to
like
both sides of the story while my men are out there about to commit like mutiny.
yeah.
Because we're stuck out on the ice. I totally have time to listen to like 14 hours worth of
Yeah.
storytelling.
He's like, bro, I just heard about this guy's like childhood upbringing.
I know. So
He's like, motherfucker.
now we have to
now I
rehash
gotta.
yours. Okay, sweet.
Good lord.
But the captain's super into it, so you
Yeah.
know, you can't be too mad.
Yeah, even though his fucking crew is like freezing their balls off.
Like starving,
Yeah.
stuck on the ice, like
And
okay.
he's like, sorry guys, this
Look,
getting good.
I'm still yeah, my stories aren't done, so
Yeah.
sorry.
I gotta hear where this goes.
Tough it out there.
Yeah.
It's just funny, like the idea of it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm like super bought into it at this point, so I
Yeah.
don't care.
Yeah, so we get the back half of the story, which is like it
Yeah.
picks up from when Victor Frankenstein basically is trying to kill
The monster.
the monster, and then we
the
basically get
monster-
the story from the monster up to
Yeah.
now. And not to give any spoilers or anything, but like I would say you can probably watch the movie and then see how it plays out. So
I mean, if you have a basic kind of knowledge in pop culture of
Yeah.
like Frankenstein, I feel like
well, yes and no, because I would say that the Universal Monster one doesn't necessarily play out that way.
oh, gotcha. Okay.
So,
fair enough.
And that's why you always see the pitchforks and the
Oh, okay.
and the
Yeah,
people,
yeah.
right? Because it's while that is in this movie, it does play out a little different,
Sure.
right? In well, I guess you haven't seen this one, but or the original like 1931 version, but it plays out a little different in that sense. If I remember correctly, it has been a minute since I've seen it, but it does play out a little different. But in any case, we now get the story from the monster's perspective, and then it sort of comes all together at the very end, and then the movie's over. So, I only say that so we can have a cutoff point here of like, now we're just going to get into spoiler territory
Yes.
for this particular movie. So if you haven't seen it, don't stop listening
get
or skip to the part where...
Also, it's on Netflix by now. Just watch it.
Yeah, that's true. It is. Yeah, that is true. It is on Netflix. So yeah, you don't have to go watch it in 35 millimeter like we did.
You should though, if you can.
If you can, but you only got
It's
like
badass.
basically this weekend, and then that's it. And you have to be at a place that's showing it in
does it.
35 millimeter. So, so yeah, getting back into spoilers and then kind of going back maybe to the early aspects of it. I thought that I don't know. I'm kind of curious on your thoughts on some of it, but I thought the casting was good. It's funny because I initially did not start off liking Oscar Isaac as Victor Frankenstein because I was kind of like, do we have to cast yet another good looking guy that has to, this and this and that? But it's kind of funny because by the time we get to the monster story, which is a good, I think like you were almost at an hour, we're over an hour, 40 minutes by the time we really get into the creature story. At that point, like it's funny how well Oscar Isaac is an actor that I now saw him by that point of the movie. I saw him as a very ugly,
Yeah.
nasty person, and
Yeah.
like it actually made me like disgusted with him, and I think that actually made me think of like his look as well too. Like it's funny because well, what do you call it? That movie Sucker Punch was on HBO like a little while back.
Yeah.
And I forgot he was in that, and he plays like
that's
the
right.
yeah
he
he's
plays like the
he's
like
the
a
asshole
ward, whatever.
yeah he plays one of the
like the
guards.
The guards, yeah.
And so yeah, he plays a very slimy, sleazy sort of character there. He's
super
really
creepy
young.
in that. Yeah.
And in a very similar way, it's kind of interesting because having seen him on TV recently and seeing how much he's evolved to the character that he was in Frankenstein, it's like, wow, he actually, like, I mean, everybody who works their craft for long enough is going to just continuously get better and better at what they do. And I feel like you really see that in this movie if you were to watch Sucker Punch to now, where it's like, wow, like he was an asshole in Sucker Punch, but in this movie, he's like 100 times more that. And like I said, he starts off like kind of a good looking guy to me in the movie. And then by the back end of the movie, like I was like really just, man, this guy sucks. And like his visual demeanor and like everything that I dislike about those types of people that are so full of themselves and like narcissistic and like have those attributes, it really started to kind of like, for me anyways, it really started to come through. And I was just like, wow, like the clothes, like his choices of everything from his hair to like his demeanor,
like his beard.
I was like, wow, like it really is good that like he's doing that. And it's, I don't know. I was like, at first, like I said,
after a while, he kind of disappears into the character.
Yeah,
because you're right. He's like starting to kind of deteriorate from like a little bit of the madness that kind of overcomes him.
And I didn't feel that at the beginning of the movie, so it felt like Oscar Isaac's in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And maybe, you know, maybe that could have been tightened. I don't know how you tighten that as an actor.
Yeah.
But I thought I thought he was really good as that character. I thought obviously the creature was like really good, in my opinion. I don't know. But I feel like I actually really liked Mia Goth's character.
I loved her.
I
loved her in this. I wanted more of her, to be honest.
I forgot she was in it, and I was like, wow, she is like kind of the glue in a lot of ways of this movie of like you were saying, she is the, I don't know, I guess she's like the goth queen.
She is right now.
Like literally by name and like the types of roles that she's taken.
Yeah, she's definitely, I don't even know that she's a scream queen necessarily, because if nothing else, like half of the roles she's playing, other people are screaming at her. But like in a traditional sense, she's not really a scream queen. But she is kind of dominating a lot of like the genre stuff.
Well, but I think she picks these particular roles. Like, what was the? I can't remember the name of it now. The Spawn of Cronenberg's movie that.
Infinity Pool.
Yeah, Infinity Pool.
Oh, she's like, terrific in that.
But it's a very gothy role in that it's very angsty, very like
really
fighting
dark.
the system. Like she's very anti-establishment, and
even though she's part of kind of the establishment. Yeah. Either way, like, but yeah, all these genre stuff that she's been in has been incredible.
Yeah.
And she's just been great in all of them.
Yeah.
And it's funny because this one she plays a really kind of demure, more I don't know, conservative character.
Yes.
But I think you kind of still feel the undercurrents in the character of like, oh, she's being like this, not necessarily by choice, but she has to be. And you kind of read that in her acting because she's Mia Goth, and like, you know, she's capable of so much, but you kind of really read that in the character that like she wants to be more than this, but she can't really afford to be.
Well, and that's not what, like, during the time period, right?
Absolutely.
That's not what, like, that's not what, like, women are are
You
supposed
just
to do.
yeah.
That's not their place.
You get married off and that's it.
Yeah, but the fact that she's into science, the fact that she's into like anatomy,
And
insects,
she's like outspoken when people are decide that they do want to talk to her.
right?
But she's very reserved and quiet otherwise. And then these stunning friggin' ball gowns that they put her in, just like, ugh, so
Yeah.
good. So good. Like, she looks incredible in it. They have this long, I don't know if it's a wig because it looks incredible, but
Oh,
she,
her
like,
hair.
her red hair,
Yeah.
ugh, kill
Yeah.
me. I mean, kill me. It looks incredible. Like, just give me that whole look because she looks amazing.
Yeah, I feel like everybody was. I mean, even like the captain of the ship, I
The
thought
guy was great. I feel like I've seen him in something else. I can't think of what it is.
He is. Yeah, this name sounds
He
familiar,
looks so familiar.
but
to
I'm
me.
not. I'm not familiar with. I mean, other than his name is like Lars, Middleton. Or
Okay.
is he? I don't know. Maybe he's the brother of what's his face. The guy from Hannibal, maybe.
Oh, maybe.
Um,
Lars Mikkelsen. Maybe related to Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
But he was good, and then like even the old man, the old blind man, because that's the guy from Game of Thrones, right? Is he from Game
Charles
of Thrones?
Dance? Are you talking about the dad?
Yeah. Oh no. He was in
Which one are you talking about?
the blind man.
Oh yeah, he was in Game of Thrones. He was the what's his name? The gross old man
Okay.
in Game of Thrones.
Because
At
he was
the
also
towers.
he's also in Hot Fuzz. He's one of the
Yes.
He's the
with the
yeah.
dog. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love him too. He's like must be like
He's got to be
100
like
years old.
Yeah, he's got to be in his like 80s now because he was already like looking like he was in his 70s when we watched him
like
in a
back then.
yeah. Yeah, so yeah, from a casting standpoint, I thought that all those characters were really good.
You liked everybody that they cast?
I mean, by the end, I think it all sort of came together for me. Like
Okay.
it didn't at the start, and then it kind of built its way there, and then by the end, I was like, oh wow, like
Fully committed. Yeah.
I do like this ensemble, even though it didn't click with me at the start. Like
initially.
it really didn't. Like I was
Yeah.
I was
You're already out.
well, I wasn't out, but I did have some like feelings that I want to bring up later about certain
interesting.
things
Okay.
because I don't know, I think there were just obviously certain choices and things that were made for the purpose of the movie. But yeah, so like I feel like the casting was really strong. I thought there were a lot of really good things about like you were saying, I think like the Oscar Isaac or I guess the Victor Frankenstein like story stuff while maybe added another like a fair amount of time into the movie, I thought was actually like kind of good. Like the whole him as a child and like the other guy from Game of Thrones, the father
Charles Dance, yeah.
and like how much it's funny because like he did not despise his son. He just didn't treat his son, because that wasn't his son by birth, right? That was like by marriage.
I don't know that they said
No,
one
it
way or
is.
the
It
other.
is by marriage. Because remember, he said that they were like because of his title, and that they were married because it does more for like
For his lands or his
right
holdings. Or
and his
whatever.
yeah. So that's why he has the kid, the second kid.
That's why he's the favorite. The
Right,
second kid.
because he's blonde
Like
and he
his-
looks like him, and he talks about how
I
like
can see that. Yeah.
Oscar Isaacs is like, he's got the dark hair,
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
does the mom, and it's almost like it was almost like a class warfare sort of discussion point where he talked about he comes from these things, but he needed our lands, so that's why they were brought into marriage. But he talks about in the movie how he says, how like, well, he looked down on us because of our dark hair and our dark eyes, like
Yeah.
how we just didn't look like everybody
Oh,
else. And so,
I guess I didn't read that as he was not his actual son.
well, and that's why, like, to me, that's why he was like, you're going to do all these things the way I'm telling you, because you're going to learn about anatomy. You're going to learn about
Yeah.
whatever at such a young age. Like he was effectively it's almost like I guess the only thing I can think of is like it's like that Tiger Woods syndrome where the dad who was effectively making his cash cow
Yeah.
by saying you will be the greatest golf player of all time, and it's like from a kid's standpoint it's like I guess it's because you love me, and he's like yeah sure that's what it
Totally.
is.
Yeah.
He's like now get out there and start practicing from
I can see
the
that.
minute you wake up till the sun goes down.
Yeah.
I want you practicing, and that's basically what he's doing to this kid as Victor Frankenstein, where he's like constantly quizzing him on anatomy and like why is this and why is that, and he literally like drains the soul out of the kid to the point where he has no, like, I guess you could say he has no soul, in that that's where a lot of his defiance of that there is no.
Well, he definitely like plants the seed in Victor as far as like if you can master science, then you can
you
do
can conquer
whatever.
pretty much anything.
Yeah, you can do just about anything.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if he
yeah.
necessarily plants a seed. He literally puts the plan down. Like
Yeah.
he draws it out to the point of it only, like, he's at a breaking point at such a young age and an undeveloped like young child that when his mom dies, that's the tipping point. And he's only like what, like 13 or something at that age.
Probably.
So I mean, you know, you don't know what you're doing at that age.
Yeah.
And so it didn't take much for him to have the loss of his mother and all this like military style, like sort of upbringing to break him.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he sees that when his younger brother, who is getting attention and who is getting like the loving aspect from that father, it even like drives it even more. Cause I don't think, to fairness of the father, I don't think that was intentional. It's just, he just didn't know how to be a father.
Sure.
And so he wasn't like purposely trying to do that to Victor Frankenstein, because you see Victor Frankenstein like watching behind the trees and like he's effectively spying, but it's not like the father was doing it, flaunting it. He was more like, you're on your way to become a doctor, and this is just still a kid.
Well, I think it's a lot too. I mean, it's kind of, it's a little bit of that, and I feel like I hear about it a lot from like the firstborn children or whatever. Like, oh, like the firstborn is like they get all of they're like the trial and error kid, and then by the time the second one comes around, it's like, oh yeah, we figured it out, it's fine now.
Yeah. And then by the third one,
the third one, you know, it's always the baby.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah, so like I think by the time his brother comes around, he's like, okay, well now I know how to kind of I know a little bit better of like the kind of dad I want to be. It's a little too late for you, Victor, but like let me try with this one because maybe he'll turn out better.
Yeah. Well, and I find that really interesting because I bought into that a lot in this movie. And like you said, maybe that part wasn't there in the book.
I don't think so.
But that seemed like a very formulaic and placed sort of something that comes from a Mexican kid talking about his parents. No offense to my parents. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying, though, is that there is like a certain level of how...
I mean, I think
those relationships are.
Yeah, and I think that's just in I don't know, that has to do one culture and another, but I think it can be kind of universal, the fact that like especially if you're young parents, it's like, oh, the first kid, like, oh god, we're gonna do everything right, or we're gonna fuck it up. But by the time the second one rolls around, it's like, oh, I think we have a better idea. I think it'll be fine.
Well, sure. I guess I say Hispanics, minorities, whatever you want to say, only from the standpoint of like the concern is always like you need to know what it is you're going to do so you can make money.
Sure.
So you can.
It's about the success.
It's about success, but it's also about stability.
Sure.
Before you even know what the word stability even means.
Yeah.
Right.
They're kind of charting a path for you that's like.
I'm not going to be here forever. You need to.
You're the next one in line,
right.
So you have to know what your path is.
That's how I saw. That's how I saw the father in this movie. I did not see him necessarily as an evil person. Like, I think no, and that's the thing. It's the perspective of it, right? Because
totally.
He was. I mean, if you think about it, right? They never show him like. Yes, he is like. The worst thing that he does to the kid which is a pretty extreme, right? When he's like giving him the anatomy lessons, and I guess if he gets things wrong, he basically gets like the, what do you call it,
The switch.
the switch to the hands, right? But then he's like, at that point he tells him like, well, you're gonna need your hands as a doctor, so I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop giving the switch to the hands, but doesn't matter what your face looks like, so I'm gonna start hitting you in the face if you get things wrong, right? Too.
Yeah.
No, and I know that's that's what I'm saying. That's by far the worst thing that he does. But other than that, like he's all about like business. Like he's like, well, I got to travel because I'm doing
Well,
this.
he's definitely not warm to Victor for sure.
He's practical, I guess, in the sense of like the way that they live. He's like, I'm off doing my whatever. What was he, like a duke or a?
He was a baron,
baron.
but he also dabbles in medicine, is how what they say.
Right.
Like his little side hobby is
Right.
like that's why he knows so much, is because he actually is like learning medicine.
So in a lot of ways, like much like what is like nature over nurture, like there's a portion of that is probably in the DNA of Victor Frankenstein, right? Because like his father was obsessed with like success and drive and making sure that there's money, and he's dabbling into medicine, doing all these things. And so it's not surprising that his kid is that way.
Sure.
And also like the father wasn't like a womanizer. He wasn't doing right. He was very strict with his kids. But I mean, I can tell you from a Gen X generation, I know plenty of kids that got spanked with a belt, and it was like, did that make us better? Probably no, not really. And current, that's not really a thing that people like or is frowned upon nowadays. But I guess what I'm saying is that felt very personal, that whole aspect of it from
Of like
the
the
perspective.
fatherhood,
Yes.
relationships.
Yeah. And
I can see that.
how that all plays out, because it's like, and I think that leads up to the very last sequence of the movie, right? When we get up to that point.
Yeah, I can see that.
I feel like that's where a lot of that leads up to, and that's why I feel it's very personal for him.
Which I think is an interesting kind of deviation from the book in that sense. And I think that's maybe the largest, I don't want to say issue I have with it, but maybe sort of kind of, because it became so personal to Guillermo del Toro or whatever maybe. Because the central tension of the book is the fact, like, what is a monster?
Right.
And the idea that you now create life that you're responsible for, that is now exposed to all the horrors of the world, right? And then neglecting that because, I don't want to deal with it anymore. And I think it is like the idea of like giving birth and whatever and raising something and failing at that. But a lot of it also is the central tension of like, what is a monster, as far as like what creates a monster? Is the monster like that because of how Victor created him, or is it because of the world being so cruel?
Right.
And also, like, what does it mean? The monster is like that. It's capable of so much kind of loneliness and hurt and yearning for love, but it's also capable of so much violence and ugliness and things like that. So I think people tend to read anyway the Frankenstein novel more as a I don't know, commentary maybe about society and what it means to be human and what all of that plays out. So it's a little less, a little more pulled back from the idea itself of like being a father or being a son.
Right.
So I think in that sense it is an interesting take. I think it gives it a little different flavor, the movie that Guillermo del Toro makes versus the book version.
I think it is a very Gen X telling of the story.
It's
because
not only that, when you think about the fact that Mary Shelley, as a young woman, wrote the book when mind blowing. She was like 18 or something when she wrote the book, and it's now like not only a horror classic but just a classic in literature itself. But to think about that as from a woman's perspective in that time period, the idea of like, okay, probably in the next couple of years or so, I'm going to get married off and I have to pop out babies, and now I have to think about that. And then her putting pen to paper to this idea of like, what does it mean to have like a living, breathing creature that you are now responsible for, and what the world will do to it, what
Right.
it's capable of doing, and what the world will do to it. And I think it's a much more kind of layered question in the book than I think Guillermo del Toro makes an interesting kind of twist on it, on the fact that, like, oh, what does it mean to have like a father-son relationship
Well,
in
yeah.
that context?
But I think he adds more layers onto the world and everything that is in the original Frankenstein story. I think he's layered. I don't think
I
it.
think just more like the personal touch of it makes it really interesting in that sense. I'm not saying it's better or worse. I'm just saying, like, it's really fascinating to me how he managed just to kind of personalize that idea.
Right. That's what I'm saying. He adding those additional layers
Yeah.
doesn't take away from any of
No,
the
no.
other things. It just adds more
Yeah.
complexity, honestly, to it, that it probably maybe rubs you a little bit differently because
Yeah.
of the fact that it wasn't there originally. But it's true, though, that those aspects would have been there. They just don't touch them in the original, like either in the original text or in the original movies, because I don't think Victor Frankenstein is portrayed remotely the same as he is in this movie, because of the way that the movie sort of like ties together at the end, because of this like father-son sort of relationship, not only he has with his dad, but that he recognizes the creature as now his son at the very end.
Well, the most interesting part that may kind of, like, I'm still kind of grappling with it a little bit. I'm still processing a little bit of it, but like the idea, and we can talk about it some more in his other movies even. But it feels like Guillermo del Toro gives a pretty big pass to the monster itself.
Yeah.
Because in the story, the original story, and a lot of the other retellings, the monster is a monster.
Sure.
Like, not only physically, because he's a bunch of corpses tied together. Because that is terrifying. But he's so new to the world that he also is like not only quick to be lonely or sad, but he's quick to rage, and he's so powerful
Right.
that when he's enraged or feel threatened, he kills innocent people. And that's part of being the monster. Like, I feel like maybe Guillermo del Toro like loves his monsters a little too much, that he gives them a little bit of a pass.
Sure.
Because you don't necessarily see it in this monster. And there's some debate about in the book whether the monster should be beautiful or not, because Victor in the book, he's like, I'm trying to get all the most beautiful pieces and put them together, but like, oh my God, it's not that beautiful.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of back and forth in that kind of debate, but I feel like it's maybe he was a little too beautiful in this movie.
Yep.
And I think in that sense, that's why I think maybe Guillermo, like, we kind of get it. You love the monsters, but maybe you love this one like a little bit too much, because like I think the central tension of the book is the fact that like both Frankenstein's monster and Frankenstein are monsters in their own ways,
Right.
in different ways. But neither of them should really get a pass, because like they both are capable of horrible, monstrous things.
Well, and I think that's I think what made this movie interesting for me was I didn't see it as a pass as much as like they, and I think they pretty much almost hit it a little too nail on the head, because I think the dialogue is actually there, but they do mention that like effectively they're both results of how humans are imperfect. And like it's not fully their fault, but it's part of being a human. Like, is that there are things that are going to happen, and I think that kind of plays in when the wolves show up and they talk about the world itself,
right, being violent.
It's
violence is just part of being part of the world.
Well, but that's the thing too. It wasn't necessarily violence, because I think he even says like there are just things in nature that effectively are opposed to each other just by the way nature has put everything out on the table, right? Like the sheep, and I guess we're kind of bouncing all over the place. And so if you see the movie, this will make more sense. But there's a sequence where, the third part of the movie where like Frankenstein is starting to become more aware of like what it means to be a person and is developing, and they see how nature comes together, and seeing how nature works, right? Which is like he sees like a flock of sheep and there are wolves and they violently attack the sheep. The sheep did nothing wrong, but the wolves got to eat, right?
Yeah.
And that's how they eat. It's
but the humans have to protect the sheep, so they have to kill the wolves.
Right.
And on and on and on.
Yeah, and so the circle is just built that way. And so that sequence, I thought, while good, put it a little too on the nose of like, oh, okay, like I get that, and I think I would have gotten that anyways, but we also, not to get into, well, I guess we will get into some of it because I do have some thoughts on it. Of this definitely felt like a movie where I think this is where Guillermo shines, because he likes making sure that people understand the monsters are not, they're just sometimes misunderstood, but also there's a little bit of a movie like this where audiences have to be told everything.
Yeah. And
sometimes that can come off as a little annoying.
Yeah.
And I think that that's probably more the studio than it is like the artist. But in this particular case, it may actually not be the case.
Yeah.
Because of how Guillermo likes to tell his stories.
Yeah.
Although based on his prior movies, I would say that he was probably maybe pushed a little bit more into it than normal.
Well, I definitely think over the years he's really kind of solidified his feelings on a lot of things in the genre.
Sure.
His ideas about filmmaking and storytelling. I think like as he's kind of evolved as a storyteller, there's certain things that he's like, decided that this is the angle I'm going to take.
Right. I guess I'm just saying that in Shape of Water, it is very like, I think because the creature is very much a monster.
Right, right.
That you don't have to as blatantly explain, that like, oh, it's everybody else that is the monster.
Sure.
It's and in this movie, I think they literally say that.
Yeah,
at one point.
Somebody literally tells Victor like, "You're the monster."
You're the monster.
It's like,
and it's like, okay, yeah,
totally.
I get that. Do we all need that? Because I think we're smart enough. We're all watching this on 35 millimeter, but at the same time, like,
totally get it.
When you're being backed by Netflix, I guess maybe that's not the case because of what do they call it? Customer, or not customer, but they did a survey and they did this stuff, and 86% of customers like being told what they need, how a movie, and that's how we should make movies. But anyway, so yeah, I thought a lot of that was like, I really liked this story, even though I just said I don't like everything being told to me. But I think the way I consumed it by the end,
yeah,
I liked how it sort of wrapped all up.
The whole thing as a whole, like really worked for me. I think there were some pieces in there that I'm like, I'm not crazy about that.
Sure.
Just like you said, with certain like kind of exposition heavy stuff.
Well, is there any, before we kind of switch gears or anything, but was there anything else you wanted to call out from regards of like what you liked? Because it sounds like, I don't know, maybe you didn't.
So I know I've been kind of talking a little bit too much about like, oh, this is different from the book, and the book is incredible, and all this. And the book is incredible, and everybody should read it, and everybody should take some time to kind of enjoy it and understand kind of the origins, blah, blah, blah. And the movie does stray away from certain parts of the book and, artistic license and all that. Saying all that, I feel like Guillermo del Toro did make this movie straight for me, because it has incredible aesthetics. The set design was beautiful. The costuming was incredible. It made my little 13-year-old goth girl heart very happy to watch this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was like swooning the whole time because the music was incredible. Really, the only thing, honestly, that kind of took me out of it, and by the end, kind of like you were saying, like by the end of it, like, oh, okay, I kind of buy into it. Like maybe it's not such a big deal. But really, the only thing that took me out of it, kind of in the earlier half of the movie, Jacob Elordi is just too beautiful to be
Sure.
like there as a monster. Are you kidding me? Like
Right.
his torso is like 3 feet long or whatever it is, and he's like built and sculpted, and like he like scars, quote unquote. It's more like
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever. Like it could be like beauty marks or something. Like it's kind of ridiculous to be like, oh my god, he's a monster.
Sure.
He's whatever. He looks kind of funny. He's not a monster. Saying all that, by the end of it, they do make it work. He does look a little bit monstrous towards the end, even though, and it's kind of interesting, kind of the juxtaposition, but by the end, he's even more sympathetic, even though he's looking more and more kind of raggedy and monstrous.
Sure.
Um,
But I mean,
yeah, like it did take me out. The first half of the movie, they show him and he's in this little loincloth and whatever.
right.
He looks like he just came from the gym. Like, give me a break. A little bit. I was a little bit. Every time I saw him, it's like, I mean, stop it. Like, stop it.
Sure.
He came out of the sauna. Like, get out of here. But yeah, by the end of it, like you're so bought into the characters that it's like,
Right.
whatever. Like, I'll just like turn that part of my brain off a little bit.
Yeah, it's funny because I can hear him talk about how like no, he needs to be like these monsters are beautiful, and I think maybe that was taken a little too literal.
Little too literal.
When the art department was like,
Yeah.
okay, like
I mean, the casting, and it's funny because whatever the actor is the actor, and who he is, he did a really good job, to be perfectly honest. But it's hard to kind of separate him too from the other roles that he's had that I've seen, where he
Sure.
plays like super heartthrob or whatever. And like I get it, now he's a monster, but like it's still like hard to pull away from that quote unquote like hot guy persona
Right.
when it's like the first time you see him, he's in a loincloth, like
Sure.
and that's all he's wearing. I'm like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
That's not a monster.
And-
Let's be so for real.
yeah,
Like,
and like we were saying earlier, I mean clearly intentional, and it was funny because in my sarcastic mind, I was like, so you could totally see that guy working at Hot Topic exactly the way
the
he
hot
was.
topic, we were
Like,
like
literally-
Abercrombie and Fitch.
Well,
like,
no. I'm saying like
like as okay, I gotcha.
as a store
like
attendant.
associate.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they'd be like, dude, you're super cool. Like you got these scars
got
of
the
when I
whole
used to like cut myself and like just extreme emo. Like I mean, even with the hair. By
I
the
totally
end,
get it. Yeah.
he's
The long,
got like
scraggly hair. Yeah.
he's got the emo look. He's got everything, and in a funny way, if that ties you into literature as a young person, and this kind of goes back to what I was going to say earlier. If you looked at our audience that was with us.
Yeah.
That actually hit the demographic. Like
Well,
there were a
it's-
lot of girls that were in their goth outfits.
It's so funny that you say that because I will say, and then we had these conversations before because I am, maybe I don't read as much as I would like, but I do read quite a bit, and I've occasionally stumbled into like the whole book talk culture, even though I don't really have TikTok, and I've just seen some of it, the reels, whatever. And I know there's this resurgence of like more people reading in specifically, very specifically women, and very even more specifically like the romance fiction genre. And a lot of it is like kind of the romantasy, which is romance fantasy, whatever.
Right.
And it's so funny because there's this sub genre of like fantasy books that it's like, quote unquote monster smut. And it's like, oh, it's the heroine falls in love with what should be a monster, but like monster's kind of hot for some reason. I don't know. I'm
Sure.
super into it. And it could be anything from like a fucking what is it called? Like what is it called? A minotaur.
Sure.
To like there's like inanimate objects smut
Right.
also. It's a whole range, right? And I feel like this movie in particular, with the casting choice they had and the look that Jacob Elordi has, is a very specific demographic of book talk girlies
Right.
that are super happy with that casting.
Well, and that's what I was saying earlier. I was trying to allude to it, which is like if you looked at our audience, and I don't know if you noticed, but I kind of took quick inventory, not because I was interested, but mostly just I was like,
no, that is interesting.
I was interested in how many people were showing up.
Yeah.
But as I looked around, of a what, probably about 60, I'd say there were about 65 people in that theater. I would say more than 70% were women.
Yep.
And
Yeah, entirely unsurprising.
Yeah, and it was just kind of funny because like seeing the heavy like dark eyeliner
Yep.
and all that stuff, and
Yep.
then I mean I was all down for it. I was like,
I mean,
that's cool.
you got two hits in there. You got Oscar Isaac and you got Jacob Elordi. And for the girls that like girls, there's Mia Goth in there.
Right.
So it's like really there's no losing. When you
Yeah,
go watch that
it's an
movie.
all-star lineup of
Yeah.
like
Of
like sort
hot,
of gothy
hot topic people.
right, yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And so I
It's
think
like
that
winner.
yeah, I think that was really good from that standpoint. I am potentially going to get a divorce by what I'm about to say, but I have to say it.
Let's say it.
I'm glad we watched it on the big screen. I do not think that this movie was filmed for the big screen, and I do not
That's
think.
interesting. Okay.
I do not think. I had a lot of issues, not issues, and this is really just more critique and a personal preference for me, which is like, I feel like this is a large epic story, and I feel like this was shot like it was a made-for-television ABC like Sunday night movie, and that kind of bummed me out a little bit because I agree with what you're saying. The outfits, the sets, and a lot of the visuals were really cool, and they were not effective because there should have been like for example, I think like the castle, there was no big epic like scene where we get like this. There should have been this widescreen, oh my God, look at this castle. Let's really sit on it and take it all in. That never happened. And it happened like really quick. The edits were really fast. The camera was moving way too fast.
I can see that.
They were and we were, we were watching that little behind the scenes sequence in the living room just a minute ago while we were having dinner. It looked way different there. And I kind of want to watch again on our TV. But
see if it makes a
it did
difference.
not feel like a theatrical movie, and it was kind of bumming me out because it did not feel big and large in scale. There was no large widescreen scene. Like, okay, I made mental note of this because I was really upset they did not do anything with this. And this is a massive spoiler, so make sure you have stopped by now. But when Elizabeth, Mia Goth's character, dies, and Frankenstein is walking out with her through the audience of people that are there.
Yeah.
And that is effectively the pitchfork sequence, or it's supposed to be from the original 1931, which is like, now we're going to see all the people like, the monster.
Yeah.
She's carrying down, I'm going to just set the sequence. And if I was a cinematographer, I would be like, okay, dude, no, we're doing this again, because you have this, what is supposed to be an ugly monster, even though he's super emo and he looks good, even though he looks janky compared to everybody else at a wedding.
Yeah.
She's in a full wedding dress and they're coming down these epic stairs and there's no dead on shot of like him walking down super slow and everybody's like, this monster, how dare you? And like, he's sad because like the one thing that he was connecting with is now gone.
Yeah.
Where is that shot? Like, I was waiting for it, and it's literally like it was done like a run and gun style where we're seeing it from the side and we're seeing them kind of like, it was more, that sequence was really done more to make sure that the action of the eye was like, okay, they've gone from upstairs, we're now going downstairs, and he's about to leave the castle. I get that, but there should have been a discussion of like, we're going to set up this shot, we're going to light it unrealistic, because like it's not
big point.
It's a point of the character.
Yeah.
And that's just one example. That's the one example that I made note of. There were a lot of examples of that where I was like, I don't want to say I was getting upset, but I was like, why are we cutting so much? We need to slow down the editing.
I I totally see that point. I totally see the
It
point.
was
Because
really upsetting me, I will
even
say.
when the monster kind of came to life, like I was kind of hoping that would be even more epic than it was, because you saw all the pieces. You saw him put the stuff together. You
Right.
saw him climb the thing. You put the thing on the top so that the
Right.
lightning catches it. You see all the pieces that he goes. He goes downstairs. He puts the other thing on the contraption so that
Right.
it can point the electricity down at the thing. And then you see the creature on the slab so that he could crank it up and bolt it upright, and
Right.
then the lightning,
Right.
whatever.
Yep.
But there's
Yep.
no, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. There's no big wide action like, whoa, this
There-
is what's
there should-
happening.
yeah. And that also adds to another point, and this is why, again, don't divorce me. We're about to hit 15 years.
Here we go.
Let's try to get there.
Ooh, here we go.
But they go into this epic, like, laboratory, and we never get a wide shot of him just taking it all in, being like, like, it was funny because I was either waiting for it or seeing if they were going to do a nod to it, of like the maniacal laugh of like,
Absolutely.
this is my
Like,
this
it's
is my
alive.
church.
It's alive. You don't get that moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And like, I loved the big window, and then like you were saying, the big
Yes.
screaming woman face. It's only seen in
Like in
small
those-
shots.
yeah.
They're framed
And-
within the shot, but where is the wide epic him just like contemplating in a book with like the big set piece behind? Like,
Yeah.
it's an unnecessary shot, but it is actually a necessary shot, because this is an epic story on an epic scale. The movie felt like it moved way too fast,
Yeah.
and it really was upsetting me by the end, because I was like, I feel like we rushed through this, and I never had an opportunity. Like, well, as much as I enjoyed the story, and I really did, I loved the end sequence. And again, massive spoiler. So if you're still listening, I don't know what you're doing. But when he gets to the end and the monster is talking with Oscar Isaacs, or I guess Victor Frankenstein, and they effectively, I'm sure, I mean, I don't want to say that this is actually what happened, but when Guillermo's dad passed, and I'm sure like this is true for a lot of Hispanic men, that when you kind of reach the end of the road, there is a lot of like, I'm sorry for the way I was, but I did this because I love you.
Yeah.
This is why I brought you up the way I did, even though maybe you saw it as me being a little too rough on you.
Yeah.
But I wanted you to be able to succeed in life. That's effectively what, like, I feel like the story is wraps up at the end, where Oscar Isaacs, not in that moment, fully realized. I think it was a build up to that moment.
Okay.
I think he was already unknowing that I've kind of sucks that I'm doing all these things. Because, you know, he did try to technically save Frankenstein, where he turns around at the last minute at the end of part 1, where he tries to stop the castle from blowing up, even though he realized he realized what he had done.
Yeah.
And it was like, dude, you're much like what your father did to you.
Yeah.
It's too much.
It's too-
like,
yeah,
and there's nothing you can do now to turn it around.
Yeah, it's too late. Yeah.
Like, even if your father told you that he cared for you, it wouldn't matter, because he had already
Fucked you
done
up.
too
Yeah.
much to you. And in the Frankenstein sequence in the castle, it was more literal, where he's like, well, I've already dumped gas everywhere.
Yeah,
Like,
that's it.
I can't, you know, I may know a lot about science, but I'm not gonna be able to stop this explosion from happening. And I feel like all those were in motion. Like, it was almost like pride was the thing that was like really driving Victor Frankenstein to a point where he's like where they're effectively chasing each other by the end. He's only doing it out of a sense of pride in my guesstimation, because like, he could have killed himself, you know, to end it, you know, but he was hunting Frankenstein to try to kill him, because he's like, I'm your creator and I will kill you, and I'm the one who's going to put you down. Even though Frankenstein's like, bro, like, you can do everything you want, but I'm never going to die. Like, and sorry, but that's like,
Okay.
I will always be your son, and there's nothing you can do.
I think I lost the thread of what you were saying, as far as like, what about all that did you not like?
Well, no. I'm not, I guess what I'm saying is, yeah, I think I kind of lost my spot too. But I guess what I was saying is, like, a lot of that felt very rushed. Let's see if I backtrack a little bit. A lot of that felt very rushed. I needed to have visuals to tie back into some of those. Yeah, that's where I was kind of thinking. I think the visuals, while the story is more important than the visuals, they are hand in hand, need to play together. Mm-hmm. And I needed more of those visuals to really set the tone so that when the resolution and by the very end of Victor admitting that I've always had this guilt and I'm sorry that I did this to you. And I'm sorry that you feel the way you are because of how I basically gave you parental, like, sort of feeling. Like, I am now asking for forgiveness. Before I leave this earth, I'm asking for your forgiveness. And if you give that to me, then that's what being a human is all about. There should have been visuals that could have helped push that along, is what I guess what I'm saying. And the movie felt like it was like edited too fast, where we're just moving.
I do
too much
tend to
story.
agree, to be honest, that the pacing and the editing was a little strange to me, because I feel like, and I know you even mentioned that you kind of like this part of the story, but I feel like the whole section where of Victor Frankenstein's like childhood, I think was way too long. To be perfectly honest, because it's like, why do I kind of care about this?
Well, and it's funny.
And I know it's, I get it. It's to set up that the kind of parallel of being father-son over here and being father-son over at the end. So I kind of get it in that sense. But I do feel, I mean, that there was given so much juice in the beginning,
right?
As far as like father-son this, father-son that, forgiveness this, or don't forgive that, whatever. And I don't know that they really achieved that direct parallel by the end.
No, I understand what you're saying. I feel like it is super important to me that part was there. But I guess that's what I'm also saying is like, through visual storytelling, you could have cut that whole sequence by half.
That's what. I think that's what I'm trying to drive at, because if you're, it felt really like kind of almost.
It was too
top
wordy.
Heavy at the beginning, because it's like,
yes,
like, okay, I get it, your dad's an asshole, like you kind of
but
kind
let
of
me
feel
tell you
that
exactly
already.
why
like,
he is,
let
and
me
it just
show
kept
you
going.
like all the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different reasons why he's an asshole,
right?
And it's like, no, I get it. It's like Charles Dance, he's really good at playing an asshole, so like
right.
I get it, like immediately.
That's exactly
you know what I mean?
No, that's
like,
exactly the
I
point.
just have to see his face to be looking disappointed at you, like, okay, I
just
get
his
it.
voice, like
his
the
voice,
way he
like
talks.
the way he talks, like I get it, he doesn't like you.
That's exactly what I'm saying is that you could have cut that in half,
Yeah.
because he doesn't have to say much, and there could have been visual storytelling that would have been like, oh, I see what he's getting at. And I can already think of some of the scenes that you could have cut out.
Absolutely.
But you could have stretched the visuals of some of those other things to go like, oh, like he's just, he doesn't understand how to be a father.
Yeah.
And this child is rudderless,
and he's like getting all fucked up about it.
Well, yeah, and
right?
he's longing for something that he doesn't know what it is,
right?
And it's unfortunately he doesn't realize that it's a father figure.
And it's funny because you do, as a viewer, you end up kind of making that connection the way he interacts initially with the creature when the creature wakes up. So you kind of in your mind, it's like, oh, he's doing that thing where the dad is being
acting
an asshole.
like his dad, yeah.
And like, but you have to make that like one-to-one connection in your brain,
right?
As opposed to, like you were saying, like it could have been even more effective if that was like done in a visual storytelling kind of way.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
Yeah, that's
because it's almost like the opposite problem of like exposition dump. Is now you're like letting the viewers like try to remember. Oh, that's right, because his dad was an asshole.
Right. Well, and that's again, I'm not trying to say that I'm a better director or whatever.
Totally.
By any means, but I am saying like there are the visual cues, right? Of like he took a switch to the face. Where was the switch to the face to Frankenstein? Right. There needs to be those
like the parallels that has to rhyme throughout so that you can make that like, oh yeah, that's right. He's totally an asshole.
So you are right. It did work. I thought it was effective that he's like has an asshole dad, and then he's treating that like the same way.
Yeah.
But they just didn't have that continuity there. That you had to remember. Oh, that's right. He had a fucked up childhood,
right?
And that's why he's partly an asshole. That's partly why I was saying like I didn't like Oscar Isaacs at the beginning, but I don't think that's necessarily his fault as much as like he was playing the parts as they were like as it was like laid out for him.
Yeah.
And I think it worked, and I like that. But I think it would have been better if it was a little more edited.
Yeah, I actually totally agree. And it's funny that you say that that might cause a divorce, but I do totally agree. The pacing was I
Too
don't know, even
fast.
the pacing, yeah, but the editing of like all of the sections.
We never had
felt
time to
weird.
take in shots. That's why I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying about the outfits and the atmosphere and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I agree. While I agree that visually it was there, I kind of disagree in that it was not displayed properly.
It's not like the whole picture, yeah.
Whereas, like, I think of like what was it, Crimson
Peak.
Crimson Peak.
I was actually gonna say
where
that.
it's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
we're really. It's funny, and I'm guessing because the cinematographer was the same guy,
Interesting.
and I have a feeling because Crimson Peak did not do well in theaters that they were like, bro, you can't hang on these shots for too long.
You can't do it. Yeah.
You gotta keep things moving.
Yeah.
You're gonna lose the audience.
People say it's boring.
These
Yeah,
kids
yeah.
like watching the TikToks on the phone. You gotta keep it moving. Keep it snappy.
Keep it snappy.
You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's what the kids like. You know,
Yeah,
they keep pumping in the quarters into the. See, it's a gelatinous cube.
But he has quarters.
No, but so I feel like those are the notes that they got, and it bums me out because
Because you do need those epic shots.
you absolutely need
feel
them,
like-
and it really
'cause
upset me that
you're-
they were not there.
Because you're so right, and it's funny that you mentioned Crimson Peak because that was at the forefront of my mind of the shots that did work, in those cases like where they're at the staircase in the
Right.
castle,
Yes.
where they show like all like the few moments that they do show the lab. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, that's Crimson Peak right there, and even in the dungeon where they hide the creature, where he
Right.
like locks up the creature, it like there's those bathtub places in Crimson Peak. Remember?
yeah.
Where it's like all the like that was reminiscent of that, but like it was like smaller and sadder in scale. Where it's like
Yes.
Crimson Peak, you weren't sure why that shit was there, but it's
Right.
like, oh, but it's so epic that I kind of don't care.
Right.
And it felt huge and it felt big.
That's
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at. Is like, as much as I liked this movie, it did not feel epic.
Because
it felt like
you saw the shot of the big tower, and like, holy shit, that looks that looks awesome, that looks badass, and then you get like this much of like the lab,
Right.
and like this much of the staircase, and like it's a badass window like that he can see out
Right.
into the ocean or whatever, but it's like that's the
there
only
needs
thing we
to
see.
be
And he's
the
like
unnecessary long shots that
yeah.
are
That,
framing.
like make you believe like what is this giant like 800-story tower doing,
Right.
and you don't see anything
yeah.
of it
Well,
besides like the front door.
Yeah, and see the other thing, and again, this is more. Now I'm being super critical about like more of the technical side of things because again, it's a great story. I actually love how it ended with him asking for forgiveness, and forgiveness is sort of given.
Yeah.
Even though like it was almost like, you know, hey, I need a bride of Frankenstein. It's like, hey, I see what you're doing there. And I liked that too because I liked where the story with the blind man and like the family
Yeah.
that he's like, I mean, I thought that was a great parallel to the original of like how like you learn about like life or like the things around you, right? Because the blind man even talks about it. He's like, oh yeah, you know, I killed somebody when I was young and I didn't mean to. It's almost like he was telling his story about how he was a creature once,
Yeah.
but now he's, you know, he's gotten to know better, but I will always live with like remorse.
Sure.
But, you know, and I thought that was kind of interesting because it was just like he's explaining what it is to be a human, which you're going to make mistakes and you're going to live your life and that's okay. And forgiveness is part of being a human. And, you know, as much as I think a lot of people, especially like in a modern day right now, are so angry at each other about so many different things that like, it's like, I will never forgive these people for this or that. But there is a reality there of like, but you can't, like, because your parents will always be your parents. And like your, like certain things that are like true to nature, they're just the reality of like the wolves and the sheep and the fact that this guy made mistakes and may have killed somebody when he was younger, but now he's old and now he's blind, but he's, you know, he's like, you have to make the most of, you know,
Yeah.
everything as being a human because being a human is about being imperfect.
Yeah.
And he's teaching that to Frankenstein instead of Frankenstein absorbing and living it, even though he does get some of it. And so I thought that was kind of interesting too, because it's a like you were saying earlier, it's a layer that was added, but told in a different way. And I think that makes it more relatable to maybe, whereas in the original one, you know, it's like killing a child or doing something by accident because you don't know your own strength or whatever, you know, it's like the wolves killing the sheep, right? It's they actually don't know. I mean, I would assume that wolves don't necessarily do that because they are mean.
Right.
They're doing that because they need to eat.
Right.
Right. And so in their POV, they don't see as anything they're doing wrong.
Right. Totally.
So the monsters to them are the humans that are shooting them, because it's
for
like,
no reason.
why are, like, what did I do to you? Right.
Yeah.
And because of that, now I'm going to attack you because you're trying to attack me.
Sure.
Right. And so I thought that was an interesting, just sort of like deconstruction that gets reconstructed back in there. And it's more of a teaching on to the monster, even though like, maybe that's not necessarily the point. And you could say, well, shit, then that could have been anybody. Didn't have to be Frankenstein for you to teach that. But, you know, obviously it's film, right? It's art. It's supposed to be how you interpret certain things. And so from that standpoint, I really like the ending and the idea of the forgiveness. And even so much, even though like, the captain is the one who's the audience and is kind of like, oh, I see that, I understand now. And then like, you know, tells his crew like, hey, he's cool.
Yeah.
And then they're all like, bro, we've been out here freezing our balls off.
It's been 3 days.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And you know, I thought that was kind of funny,
That
just
was kind of funny.
from the standpoint of like, now he's good to go. And so I feel like I'm gonna, because I'm such a fan of Guillermo, I would say like, I feel like a lot of what I have issues with, I feel like were a lot of notes from Netflix, because I'm just going to say, I mean, I don't work for Netflix and I don't necessarily care. And it's, again, we're not Hollywood people and it's not like we're in those circles, but I don't think Netflix knows how to make
I agree.
epic masterpieces the same way that Shape of Water was, or Crimson Peak. And I think that those things are important.
I definitely think they kind of maybe yanked on a leash once or twice on this movie. Because it does, in certain aspects, when you pull back enough, it's like, oh, that's right, it's a Netflix movie.
Yeah.
So I totally get that in that sense. I still think just the overall kind of vision of Del Toro still superseded that in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it did.
And
it shined and rose above.
It rose above. And I think maybe that's why I was able to look past a lot of that. Whereas maybe somebody with your eye was
my technical brain was,
it was harder for you to ignore.
A little bit.
Yeah. And I totally get it, because when I stopped to think about it long enough, I absolutely agree with a lot of your points. I think it just really kind of jabbed straight into the part of my brain that was like, ooh, I've always wanted this.
And to what you just said, it did enough for me that the things that were bugging me and were short-circuiting my stupid sausage brain were really more things that like most people would be like, I don't know what the fuck are you talking about? Like pacing, like editing, no, like you're wrong. and in some ways, I'm sure, because it's an opinion. But I guess I just feel like from having such a cinephile, like I was thinking a lot of the movie Dracula, the Francis Ford Coppola one, because you say what you will about that movie, it has those epic shots.
Super cinematic.
There are excessive scenes that it's like, bro,
why are you doing that?
that would never happen. You're like, you're exactly right. It would never happen. That's why I'm watching this movie, because I want to be taken away. And
it's supposed to be like, it's okay if it's a little over the top, because that's kind of what you're there for.
Right.
Like I don't need hyper realistic whatever, because that's boring, and I hate it.
That was that's my only big critique about this movie. But you're right. Everything that he did rose above everything. That I loved the movie, and I loved how heartbreaking the end sequence is with effectively a father and a son. You know, when he's like, I'm not your creator, like I am your creator, the same way that you could say that about a father and a mother, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'm your creator. It's like, no, I'm your parent because
Yeah, yeah.
I made you. I guess you
Right.
could say that, but I also like I put the things in you that made you who you
Who
are,
you are.
right? And so, you having anger and resentment and all these things, that's because of me,
Sure.
right? And so I thought that all rose above it. Just for me, like it it missed the cinephile mark for me because I can honestly say there's not a scene that I can think of that was like, oh man,
Like, oh my
that
God.
makes me think of that movie.
Yeah.
Whereas I can think of that for Dracula, I can think of that for like, I mean, hell, even these older ones, right? Like these,
Yep.
the Universal like actual
Yeah.
monster classics with like the Invisible Man, and there is a scene where you're just like, oh,
Yeah, yeah.
there it is, like it's so
perfection.
cool,
Yeah.
and
And I think
yeah.
I think the thing that kind of I would venture to say bugs you the most about it is all of the pieces were there.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like the lab looked really cool. That window was badass.
Mia Goth looked amazing,
Mia Goth was,
and
yeah. I mean, there were bits and pieces of it that was like you almost had it. Like that
Yeah.
could have been a kick-ass shot.
well, like so, I loved in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
in the first act when he's in the I guess he's at the university and he's giving the.
The
Well,
speech,
I'm not
yeah.
even sure what that was. I guess he was
Like a
being
lecture. I think it
no,
was
no, no.
like
He wasn't a lecture. He was
or maybe it's like a thesis defense or something.
no, 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 no. I think he was actually like being what do you call
Like
it?
interrogated.
No, not interrogated. Like what do you call it? Like it's like when you violate like a rule at a university, they can hold you
Oh.
like they have like a hearing effectively on deciding whether they're going to kick you out of school or not.
Oh
right?
yeah, you're right. You're right.
And that's what that was because the council or the three men, the wise men,
Yeah.
I guess, who are whatever they
Yeah.
are, they were talking about how like what you're talking about right now is not helping your defense of what
Yeah.
you were like
You're
the
being
reason why we're
accused of.
trying to kick
Yeah,
you
yeah.
out of school.
Yeah.
That whole sequence was like really cool and I really liked it, but there needed to be that excessive wide angle like anamorphic shot where
Yep.
he's standing and you see like the stadium seating
It's like
and
extreme.
right
Yeah.
and he's like it's it's unnecessary but it's a cool like there were none of those framing shots in
Yeah.
any of the big set pieces, and so that's why it felt like it just kind of kept moving. The other thing too, based on the little bit we watched on TV out there, I do not feel like the film was color corrected for the theater. I have a feeling
Oh.
that they were just kind of like, I'm sure it's fine. We just want to be in theaters because I'm sure Netflix sees it as a gimmick and they're like, theaters are dying, so who gives a shit? And we just want to make sure that it's out there. And I'm sure like they were probably did that to appease Guillermo, but like the colors felt like, I mean, film is supposed to give you a little bit more of a texture and a feel to it.
Yeah, yeah.
And yes, while the colors are going to be a little bit muted, the little bit that we saw on the TV out there, it looked like it was filmed for television. And I hate saying that, but
Huh, really?
like there are no, like, it almost feels like they use the same lens for the entire filming of it. And the colors are like super saturated.
Mm-hmm.
Like the red in the energy sequences or whatever, like on TV were super red. And in the theater, it felt a lot more muted,
Oh, interesting.
which like, okay, maybe, but you should still have some level of contrast. Like, I mean, again, like seeing movies like Frankenstein, some of these other movies, like they have a little bit of a muted sort of look that film gives you, but there's
Yeah.
still contrast. Like there's still color correction. I feel like they just took it to print and said like, yeah, we can make a 35 millimeter out of it. And they didn't necessarily do anything but make it a 35 millimeter and say like, okay, it runs 35. We didn't actually like, I mean, again, that's just kind of how I feel.
That might be.
I feel like Netflix doesn't put a lot of effort into.
Yeah, I think they don't care.
No,
To
I
be
don't think.
honest.
Yeah, no, I think that they just.
I'd be shocked if any of them did.
Yeah, I think it's more about getting subscription numbers up but at the end of the day, right? Still, I give them credit for giving him the opportunity for making this movie and this story
Yeah.
because I think it's important, at the end of the day, especially in our current like climate, for movies like this to exist, especially in a time like this, even though it is a story that's over 100 years old, but it's like, it's still always been there. Right. And so, yeah, I really liked it. I mean, I already tagged it as one of my favorite movies of this year.
Yeah,
it just misses the mark on certain technical aspects.
It is kind of funny in that sense, like we were talking about, like it's still successful despite all of that, where maybe like in a lesser filmmaker it would have tanked it entirely.
Yeah. I think another filmmaker would have been definitely been pushed harder to make a very different movie. Yeah. Whereas I feel like he had the clout.
I think the strength of his vision really, like, definitely.
It rose, like you said, it rose above everything.
Yeah, it rose above what was lacking, because it could have used a little, like, to make it like the perfect Guillermo del Toro film. It could have used a little more, like, couple like oomphs, that it just unfortunately it didn't have for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I'd be really interested to see the deleted scenes. They're supposed to be pushing it out on physical media at some point, supposedly. I'd be really interested to see what they did end up cutting out, if any of it was any of the shots that we would have liked to see in that sense.
That would be interesting. I mean, I can see where I'm sure notes were like, look, it's already 2.5 hours long.
Totally.
Like, you're going to have to cut out these long shots.
Yeah. You gotta cut something. It's either the talkie or the long shots.
Yeah,
so
and I think at that
one.
point, I would have been like, you know what, the movie's 3 hours. Then, like, just deal with it. Just fuck off. Like, it's
like streaming. Who gives a shit?
Yeah,
like,
you
care, pause in the middle anyway.
Yeah, you care about subscriptions. What do you care if it's 1 hour, 2 hours, or 3? Right. Like, but yeah, I don't know if there were any other like things that we kind of wanted to go
I did want to do a quick shout out, unrelated kind of to this movie, but I was trying to think of my favorite kind of Frankenstein adaptations in film. Granted, we have already established that I haven't seen the Universal monsters at all, but I will have to shout out one in particular. And I don't think you ever watched this, but it was on HBO a few years ago. It's a show called Penny Dreadful.
Yeah, no, I did not see that.
Yeah, Ava Green was in it. It was good when it was good, and then they kind of shat the bed there towards the end. But they did have, it was basically kind of the Avengers of goth literary heroes, basically. But Frankenstein does end up making an appearance. Victor Frankenstein and his monster make an appearance, and it's maybe one of the best versions of that story. And it feels so fresh. And the guy that plays, I can't remember his name now, but he's really he's in a lot of British films and movies and TV. Actually, he's the guy that was, I know we never saw it, but in that movie Men. He was the creepy, I guess, entity or whatever it is. Anyway, he plays the creature. It's really pretty incredible. Super. He was maybe the best part of that show, and it was a really good show for the first couple seasons or so. Super highly highly recommend you guys check it out.
Well, and then so like one last thing before we jump over to the other side of this, because I was asking you what you knew about how James Cameron is tied into Guillermo.
I was like, does Guillermo like Titanic lore also?
Well, no. So idea. this is kind of this is very bizarre and interesting, and I think without looking the whole thing up, if I remember correctly, so Guillermo is from Mexico.
Which he will mention in every single interview that he's on, which is great. Kind of funny and adorable.
Yeah. He didn't come from much. However, before he made it big, and honestly he didn't even really make it big. He was still, I think he did what he did, like his first really breakout was like Blade 2, But even then, like, that didn't make him like a ton of money, but it made him an official, like, hey, this guy knows what he's doing. Like, he knows how to.
Oh yeah, he broke into Hollywood. Yeah.
Yeah, like he was able to make money.
Yeah.
He's got cool ideas. He understands this material.
Okay.
And then I want to say, like, you know, Hellboy and stuff started to bubble out of that, but still he was like in the eyes of people, right? It's like, oh, he's a director, right? And a lot of people know that directors, or everybody thinks like actors and directors make a lot of money,
sure.
which in reality they kind of don't, unless like a lot of people, if you're in the upper tier, if you're Tom Cruise, yes, you're you're making it.
Yeah.
But if you're like some of the actors that we like watching, like what's that guy? Who is that? The guy in Late Night with the Devil?
Oh, David Desmalchian.
Yeah.
David?
Yeah. Like guys like that, they're just making a living the same way that we are.
Oh,
like,
yeah. Just a job's a job.
Yeah. I mean, they're not living in fancy lifestyles, basically. However, the perception is right outside of Hollywood. People like anybody who's, if you're an actor, if you're a director, then that means you're making a lot of money, right?
Sure, yeah.
So apparently, like, Guillermo's dad won like a state lotto in Mexico.
Oh, okay.
Like playing lotto.
Okay.
Like the same lotto we have here style, right? Where you buy tickets and you win money.
Okay.
Apparently he hit it and was like, oh man, like I'm a millionaire now.
Like a jackpot? Okay.
Yeah. Word. And that's where, like, that's what gave like him opportunities to be a director, right? Also to take some chances or whatever.
No kidding.
Not that he funded his movies, right? Because like, you may win $1 million, but that $1 million will go real quick real if fast. You're like in a business that just gobbles up money.
Like film.
Yeah, but his dad was like set, especially when you're in Mexico, he was able to take care of his family. So around this time, Guillermo's in Hollywood. He's starting to make connections. He befriends like James Cameron because Cameron's like, man, I like this little fat kid from Mexico that he keeps always referring to himself as. Yeah. He's like, man, this guy's got good ideas. I like his movies. He's a sharp guy. He's a good director,
super
blah, blah,
chill.
blah.
Yeah.
So they become friends.
Okay.
Guillermo's dad in Mexico during all this gets kidnapped by like,
what?
Like, I don't know if it was a cartel, but I don't think it was a cartel, but that's a very common thing in Mexico. Like if you have money, people will kidnap you and ransom you for money. And this was like maybe in the 2000s, like in the early 2000s. So this would have been before he made it big. And like he was kidnapped for like 3 years or something like that.
What?
Like they had him hostage and they were wanting money and they were like, well, hey, you're some fancy Hollywood director. We want like millions of dollars for him. And
so is that what he was gone like, for 3 years? Yeah,
he was gone for like a period of time.
Shit.
And like he didn't know what to do. And he's like, bro, I don't have like millions of dollars.
Money. Yeah.
He's like, you know, and of course, you know, when you're speaking to people like that, they don't believe you.
They don't care. Yeah.
So James Cameron worked with Guillermo del Toro and hired a hostage negotiator that handles these sorts of situations and paid them to work with them to get his father released. Like James Cameron did? He paid the money to do all this. Like he took care of his buddy, and I guess like he's like, I'm forever indebted to you because I got my dad back.
That's wild.
It is the most random kind of like.
Why does nobody know this? That's crazy.
Yeah, it's really weird because I was like, wait, wow, or like you were jokingly early saying he's like, man, you know what movie I love? I love me some Titanic. You know, like
yeah, I thought they were like, did they bond over like random sea artifacts or something?
Yeah, I mean, and obviously, like he's a big action guy. Like you know, like I think. Like
wait, that Guillermo, just blows my mind a little. That's crazy.
Yeah, Guillermo was obviously big into like Aliens, right? Like
sure,
the second one and like the Terminator and like when Cameron was doing like real action, right? Whereas like, you know, say what you will about the Avatar movies, but they're not great in my opinion. Like the shine of action is gone. Whatever. But those aren't the movies that, you know, cuz Guillermo's like 8 years older than me, so he's like that Gen X age of growing up on the same shit that I grew up on.
Yeah.
So like he has those connections. He knows like those are the things that helped define him. And so the fact that James Cameron was the one that came to him and was like, I will pay for this to be taken care of. Because they negotiated like for the better part of a year before he was released.
That's
so
wild.
It wasn't like all right, we're just
like
going to make
tomorrow,
it happen.
Yeah, whatever.
It was like, okay, we're still going to have to pay money. It's probably not going to be as much as we initially thought, but also this guy is like a negotiator, and then they'll like, because then like, if you think about the logistics of a situation like that, right? These are people that don't fuck around. Like if you mess with them, they will just kill these people, right? Yeah. So you have to have your own helicopters and your own whatever. So
what
like,
the fuck?
Like a James Cameron at that point, right? Was like, yeah, I'll call my helicopter guy and we'll handle all, the logistics of blah, 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 blah.
Do you guys need a submersible? Because I have one of those too.
Yeah. And he's like, because I have part of the Titanic too. So
if you guys need that for whatever reason.
Yeah, I can help you out there. So yeah, it's super random, but I only say that because.
Bizarre. So they got his dad back.
Yeah, they got his dad back.
Fine.
Yeah, he was fine.
That's crazy.
And I feel like, I don't know what the relationship was with him and his dad, but listening to a little bit of the behind the scenes thing where Oscar Isaacs was talking about some of the sequences that he was directing him on, and they were specifically talking about the end sequences with Victor Frankenstein and the creature.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, you need to say these lines, because I feel like that was like a cathartic sort of exercise for probably
maybe both of them.
I'm saying, I don't know what the relationship was between him and his dad, but knowing Hispanic men, especially men that were probably from Mexico City, that would have been of a Gen X era, right? So that means his dad,
Boomerish.
if his dad has passed, and his dad would have been in his 90s right now.
Pre-boomers then, right?
No, he would have been a boomer. But yeah, because if he was born in the 60s, and then that means his dad was born like in the 30s. Okay, so
that sounds right.
It would have been like, 30s, 40s, I would guess, either late 1930s or early 1940s. So that would make his dad in his 80s or 90s. And knowing the culture and knowing the time period and knowing everything, that was not a very progressive thing for, men to be that way with their kids. And so hearing Oscar Isaacs in that behind the scenes saying like, I was told, no, you need to say these lines like this because that is important. And I think that's when Oscar Isaac is saying, I realized in the moment, like what was happening, where he's like, oh, this is more than just
the lines.
This is more than what my character is saying. This is like you talking to your actual dad in the film.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I obviously I didn't think that when we were watching the movie, but when it got to the end, I was like, oh man, that's super Mexicano right there. Like of him saying like, I'm sorry, son, I just
wait until the very end to do it.
I just wanted the best for you. And and life is hard, and I just didn't know how to express to you as a being of, and it's funny because the other thing I kind of wanted to add, I felt it's funny. It's the first time in a while that I've actually felt, I felt it a little bit in Shape of Water, but more so in this, where like Guillermo sees creatures almost like as animals that just don't know any better.
Yeah.
And I really felt bad for Frankenstein, much like now that we are dog parents and pulling a dog out of a terrible situation. Like, we've rescued 2 dogs now, and all they've ever known is just terribleness. Yeah. And so they're scared when they're around us because they're like, please don't.
Yeah.
And we're like, no, like
it's a treat.
This is the world doesn't have to always be like that, right? Yeah. And the way that he was treating Frankenstein of like, you stupid, you dumb animal.
Yeah.
Like it made me angry at him even more because I was like seeing people like, or knowing that people were like that to our animals prior to us owning them. Like I would, I'd punch those people in the face to say look at Hank and look at Sally now. Like that's
they're sweet babies.
Yeah. They, granted, they make a mess of everything and bark when they shouldn't,
Your
and
stinky butts.
yeah, and they smell and all these other things. But like, it's not their fault, you know.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how I really felt about Frankenstein. I was like, it's not his fault.
Yeah.
And you know, you're the cause of all this.
Right.
But
I mean, that's always the crux of these types of stories is like, where does the innocence
yeah,
end and why? And like, what happens when it is lost? Like, does that in turn, like, does that take you down one path versus the other? Does that make you become more vulnerable and sensitive, or does that make you angry and hardened and bitter? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like,
and trying to find the balance is like the hardest thing to do.
yeah, it was.
You know,
Yeah,
that's the journey. That's the story, right? Like,
yeah, it is really interesting because you did feel like the creature, at least in the beginning part of the story, he felt. Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying because it didn't. In my mind, it was like he wasn't acting like a baby. He was acting more like a puppy.
A puppy.
Yeah,
It just like
didn't
only
really
knows one
understand
command.
what it's doing, and
Right.
like he doesn't understand that chains are bad.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, just because like dad's putting me in chains.
So I assume
why would it be bad?
Yeah.
Like, I trust him completely and implicitly.
because this is the only thing I've ever seen.
Right. The only thing I know
Right.
is the only person I've ever known. So like, why would I
Right.
ever mistrust it?
Exactly. And we see that even with our dogs now, right?
Totally.
Like they have distrust in certain things because that's been built in now.
Yeah.
And it made me so angry like during the movie, but that's what was effective. I thought that was really good.
Yeah.
So
I thought that was an interesting approach to, like, instead of acting like he was a child or he was a baby, he was somehow even more innocent than that, because it was like literally a creature that did not even understand pain or cruelty yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I liked it. I think it
Despite all that.
yeah. I think all the back, little diatribe we had there was really just, I don't think takes away. I think all that is to say, like we said already a couple times, Guillermo pushes above all of that, and it flushes out in the end because it's really good. I mean, I really do want to watch it again on our TV because it might be a totally different experience. And there are some things I want to look at a second go around, but yeah, no, I think it's still, I wouldn't say masterpiece, but I would say like really, really like one of my more favorite, like sort of monster telling type movies.
Like this year at the very least, really strong contender this year for like one of the best movies that we've seen.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Pretty
high up there. I mean, maybe not the number one, but like definitely high up there.
It falls short of like what Sinners had, which is like
absolutely
one of the most epic
like that was
set
like
pieces.
A fully like realized vision, it feels like.
Right. Well, but it had that one sequence that like I'm never gonna not think about that, and that's what I wanted in this movie.
Right,
that's,
like
if it had that
jaw dropping, holy shit moment.
If it had that, then I would have been like, wow, like just
that's it,
completely blown away. But I think I was really enjoyed the story, but not blown away.
Right.
The way that I wanted to.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things that like it was good despite that.
Yeah.
And I think the only lament is that it could have been even better.
Yeah. Yeah. And so with that, we have to pair food to this.
That's a perfect one.
Because
but you go first.
Oh, really?
Oh,
because I really don't have much here.
You don't have anything?
No, I have something, but it's gonna be super lame because I was thinking about it as the credits were rolling and we were heading out, and I was just like, man, I don't know how to tie my feelings of this movie to like a food. Like, is it because something I saw in the movie or whatever? Mm-hmm. And so the only thing I could think of, and it may sound a little sappy, but whatever. It's our podcast. We can do what we want. It made me kind of think of basically like making a really nice loaf of bread from scratch. Only because it requires a lot of care and precise measurement. And I mean, and you know this because I haven't made any fucking bread. So, but I've seen you go through it, and I've seen you like try and then like have success and then be angry the next time because it's a little different, or maybe you're doing it this summer and the humidity outside actually made a difference. And I've seen you go through it, and then I've seen you watch enough videos on YouTube to go like, well, they make it fucking look so easy that it's like, what the hell? And there is like science behind making good bread, but
absolutely.
But then the people that are really good at it, they don't measure or this or that, and they're like, you just gotta like feel it,
they
and
do
you're like,
measure it, but they do feel it also.
right? And so you're like, what the fuck? Which one is it?
100%.
Are you using science or not? Like, because somehow you're consistently able to do this.
Yeah, it's absolutely
And so
true.
it just made me think of like a nice, like, loaf of bread that is not sourdough, because I don't know if I really like sourdough. It's too chewy or crunchy or whatever. But it did make me think of like, you know, that sando bread that like the Japanese make, the ones
the milk
that are,
bread, yeah.
That
Yeah.
And having that like super toasted, but making it from scratch to where it's like it's alive. Because I mean, don't you have to use like yeast? And it's like it has components of things that I guess feel very Frankenstein-y to me.
No, that's actually damn it, that's a really good answer. Shit.
I mean, it's kind of lame because I mean, all it is
it's a
just
great answer because
a piece of toast.
No. You're actually super right, because baking is one of those things that I kind of get, but I also don't really get, because it's heavily science and measurements and all that stuff. But then at the same time, I have baker friends that are like, yeah, you kind of have to feel it, and I'm like, what do you mean? What does that mean? What do you mean you have to roll it a certain way and it has to feel a certain way and it has to whatever, you have to let it rest for a certain amount and you have to feel it so it's tacky or it's not it's like, it's definitely magic and science at the same time. It's absolutely, I totally get it.
Okay. Well, I mean,
it's a really good answer.
I can edit this and make your answer first and then mine second.
No, that's a great answer. Mine was
no,
more...
I'm just kidding. I'm not actually going to edit that.
I'm not going to edit shit.
Yeah.
No, my answer was more hokey because it is of the season and you think of Frankenstein. So my answer is something I've always kind of wanted to try just out of curiosity. But my answer is a turducken, because it's a monstrous creation. And it sounds ridiculous.
I don't even know what is a turducken.
So it's a turkey that's stuffed with a duck.
Like a whole duck?
Yeah. So you debone the whole thing.
Oh.
You stuff a duck in it. But before you stuff the duck in there, you debone the duck and you stuff a chicken in that. That's what a turducken is. Yeah, it's a monster.
But
I don't know, sweetie. It's like
you've never had it though?
I've never had it. Well, where would I have a turducken?
I don't know. Is that like not a thing you can order at a restaurant?
I think not.
That doesn't seem like it.
So. I think it was like a little bit of a fad. I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 years ago when somebody first thought of it, like out in the Midwest, because of course it was like out in the Midwest. But yeah,
like deep fried turkeys sounds like in a similar way. Like
I don't know, deep fried turkey is actually really tasty.
Well, I mean, yeah, but you can't go to a place. Well, I guess you can now.
You can now if you go to Popeyes.
Yeah, I guess it's true.
Actually, I don't know. I think maybe they smoke their turkeys. But yeah, no, I don't know of a single place that serves turducken because it's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can. I think you can order it and then like cook it at your house. That it's already like stuffed. It's like Inception bird.
Huh.
It's like a bird within a bird within a bird.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I've never had it. I've never known of anybody that's had it. I know it exists.
Well, I mean, we got like the dog food version of it today.
That is true.
We had a can of turducken
flavored
dog
slop.
food.
Yeah.
Which, I mean,
they're like, whatever, I'll eat it.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I can tell that this chicken is flavored with like duck and
duck
turkey.
And chicken
and it's got tryptophan and all the other good, delicious.
It tastes like fixins too.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
Anyway, yeah, that it's always sounded kind of vaguely monstrous and horrible to me.
It's kind of dangerous, doesn't it? Because
100%. All the salmonella risks.
Yeah, because I mean, I guess you have to
100%.
like.
You have to be 100% sure that everything's cooked all the way.
Yeah, you
through.
got to temp the one at the center.
I literally have no
Man,
idea.
how big is that turkey? Like that thing's got to be like.
It has to be like the biggest turkey you can find.
It's like a blimp.
It's
like at that point.
30-pound turkey or some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even like I don't even
know.
think that would fit in our oven.
Probably not.
I mean, unless the chicken was like a tiny chicken, like
they do have little tiny chickens.
I mean, I don't know. Like, not saying that we have like a massive oven. I think we have a normal,
normal size,
average
oven.
USA all the way like oven.
I like I said, I've literally never seen it in real life.
Mm-hmm.
I've never known anybody that's eaten it in real life. I assume it exists somewhere. I'm just not.
I mean, that
sure
seems like
where.
then that would require a side of like a macaroni ball that's like surrounded with
mashed
potatoes that's crusted and deep fried and then put in a roll or like in a
something equally horrendous.
A bread roll, which at that point is like the size of like
a loaf.
Yeah, it's like a whole loaf, and then you cut that, and then there's like stuffing. So no, that's what it is. So it's macaroni at the center, but then mashed potatoes, but then breaded with like stuffing on the outside.
Sounds kind of good.
And then put into like a hollowed out bread roll or a bread loaf as the side.
I don't know.
So you have two things on your table: just a giant ass turkey and a giant ass like loaf of bread with like everything in it. So, and then like a cup of gravy or something. I don't know.
This giant bucket of gravy.
Yeah. To
drown everything. Anyway, that's my idea because it sounds like monstrous and horrifying.
Yeah, that does sound horrifying. Well, I mean, we did it. We were able to come up with something then. I didn't know if we were going to be able to do that for Frankenstein, but there it is. Bread and turducken. So, well, I guess we need to, I guess whenever this will come out, like just after Thanksgiving. So hopefully everybody has a good Thanksgiving, but we have to get ready for that. We got to feed the guys, and I don't know. Maybe we'll catch this other Frankenstein if I can find it online.
We should. We're just making a Frankenstein weekend. We should also queue up Young Frankenstein because that's a classic and hilarious and amazing.
I guess we could do that, and then or we could just watch the 1931 as well.
Yeah,
I mean, we got right
so
here.
many options.
Yeah, and we've got long enough weekend to do it. So
I'll throw on the audiobook in between all that, and we can just make it all Frankenstein fest.
Yep, I guess we can do that. And I guess if anybody has any turducken recipes, you can email those to us at topshelfvideo.
Oh, I'm never making one. That's crazy.
podcast@gmail.com. Or you can follow us on Instagram, Top Shelf Video Podcast, even though, like, I know we're from the table, but I'm not going to create another account that I have to follow and do shit with. I just got to keep it.
Free.
I got to keep it, all compact. But
if you want us to, make sure you hit that like and subscribe so that we can get some kind of.
Yeah.
Is that how that works? I don't know how that works. Do you get ad revenue at some point? I don't know.
I mean, yes, kind of, but yeah, if we get more likes and whatnots, I mean, it's always interesting looking at our.
Look, if we hit 1 million subscribers, we're gonna buy us our own turducken.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it is always. I mean, not to derail here as the music is trying to play us out, but like, yeah, it is interesting looking at our statistics as we kind of reach the end of the year, and which I guess we have to. Make sure that we do a year-end
wrap up.
Yeah, because I'm looking at our list now, and I had 30 films marked as favorites of last year, and I am now at 25 for this year.
Oh shit!
So as much as we were saying like, I don't know, this year wasn't as good as last year, I look at the numbers, and I'm like,
it's catching up towards the back half. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that all to say, we've got some of our stats are somewhat interesting. I guess I can call out a few little things here if I can pull this up. But I think it's kind of interesting when we see that we got, let's see, people chiming in now from states such as California and Texas and Tennessee and Alabama and Georgia and Florida and South Carolina and North Carolina and Virginia and New York and New Jersey and Michigan and Hawaii.
Are those like real? They're not like bots?
No, I mean, there are multiple clicks on from here. So, but anyway,
that's cool.
That's
Hi,
all to
guys.
say, like,
Hi, everybody.
if anybody is listening and you want to drop, some emails or some likes, or if you could give us a review, that would be helpful as well, too. But yes, subscribing always helps because that shows up in our statistics. But yeah, I feel like I'm trying to think if there's any movie here we need to catch up with before we do a year end, but there might be one or two here on the back end.
We're fairly caught up on a lot of things.
I think there's still a couple, though, that we need to sort of catch, or at least I want to try to catch before the end of the year. So maybe we'll do our end of the year wrap up middle to end of next month, so that it gives us a little bit of a window to catch a few things, because we still haven't watched Wicked. And I still want to see that Sisu movie part 2.
Oh, that's exciting.
There's a couple other ones that I think we may have missed that I just want to catch up on. But follow us on the socials and all that jazz. And if you have suggestions for movies that we should be watching, make sure you shoot that over as well too. But I guess until then, we want to make sure that you tip your waitstaff
and high five the kitchen staff. Buy them around because they're all alcoholics.
Oh, okay. I was not expecting that part.
I'm kidding. They're not all like that.
Just
huge.
Just the good ones.
A huge chunk of them are.
Yeah.
Or at least buy them a smoke. They're out in the back by the dumpsters.
That's true. Love you.
Love you too.